The polls are closed in Clacton, but the result will not eclipse Farage's wrongdoing. Nigel Farage has just spent 38 days fighting a bin, while Labour has been cutting business rates, capping bus fares and cracking down on vape and betting shops. Let's be clear, beating a bin will not distract from Farage's dodgy £5 million gift, his relationship with a convicted fraudster and all of the other scandals that Reform always find themselves engulfed in. He only called the by-election because he knows Reform's scandals are piling up by the day, and he knows that his excuses for this sleaze have been utter rubbish. Nigel, it's time to come clean with the public.
Well, as everyone and their aunt saying, it's unsurprising, but I do think we're all a bit sick of the way that democracy has been used as stage show.
Well, there you go. This is GB News Originals. I'm Emily Carver. Please do give this video a like and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. And do leave a comment. Let me know what you think.
By the political classes. I mean, we can say, people are accusing Nigel Farage of pulling a political stunt here. But at the same time, the choice of nobody to run against him, there were 9,000 votes that went to a joke candidate. I mean, do people really think there could have been more votes in an anti-Farage vote if they stood a serious candidate? But they didn't. And I think this is a huge mistake. If we don't take democracy seriously, if we treat by-elections this way, we're setting ourselves up for real trouble.
So, I mean, the other parties you're saying should have stood candidates. At the end of the day, if we go to yet another by-election, those candidates are going to come into the mix.
Well, I mean, exactly. And again, I need to emphasize that there's 9,500 votes went for a comedy candidate. If they swung behind a local independent candidate, it could have been a lot more. And I just think that this sense of, a vote, a democratic vote, a fundamental part of our constitution, being treated like a political football, being treated like just another bit of comms, it's a big mistake on everyone's part because it degrades trust in democracy. It's not good.
Mr. Farage made his announcement at a Reform UK rally. Did you know before then that he was not planning to attend this count, or was that the first you heard of it?
No, I didn't know. No.
You didn't?
No.
So he didn't say to you earlier on, I've had this threat, please, is it okay with you if I don't come to the count?
No,
what happened exactly? You just saw, or you were informed,
yes,
that at his event, his victory rally, as he would put it, he said he wasn't going to attend.
Yes, I wasn't aware that he wasn't attending.
How do you feel about that?
So I think that I'm not going to comment on individual candidates, but what I would say is that going back to saying is what my job is to make sure that we complete this count. It's a very complex count, unique, and my job is to make sure that it's completed safely and also is completely and open transparently, and we declare the winner.
Welcome to one of the most bizarre by-elections in recent political memory. There's a record number of candidates. I've got the ballot paper here. I'm not sure we can actually fit it onto the screen. There are so many. They include Nigel Farage, of course, as well as 3 from the Monster Raving Loony Party, an outfit called the Everyone is God Party, and, of course, Count Binface. The reason we're having this by-election is Nigel Farage triggered it after questions about his finances, particularly a £5 million gift from a crypto billionaire that he didn't declare. He insists he's done nothing wrong and called this by-election saying the people of Clacton should be the judges of his actions. Those questions about his finances are unlikely to end tonight, whatever the result. And actually, the result here is not really in doubt. No one I've spoken to, either here in Clacton or in Westminster, believes that anyone other than Nigel Farage will win and do so comfortably. The gamble for him is whether tomorrow morning he looks like a winner and a popular politician, or an unserious one rather than the Prime Minister in waiting he insists he is.
Count Binface, you'll know these figures by now, won 9,455 votes. Nigel Farage won 22,239 votes. Why do you think so many people voted for a bin instead of the Reform candidate?
Well, and let's also point to the fact that the Tories got 0 votes, the Liberal Democrats got 0 votes.
Because they weren't there.
Labour Party got 0 votes. Yeah, I'm well aware, Charlie, that these parties weren't there. They were frit. They were frit to stand against Nigel. They knew what the result would be. They are political cowards. So, there are people in politics, unfortunately, that don't support our policies and don't support our candidate. That's the same with every politician.
Well, 9,455 people in Clacton voted for Count Binface. I wonder how you account for that.
I think you're making a big deal of Count Binface getting all these votes, but the main three parties weren't standing, so their votes have got to go somewhere. I tell you what, you've not mentioned, Charlie. You've not mentioned the fact that Nigel's votes have gone up by 1,000 on a much lower turnout. You should be talking about that, not Count Binface.
Oh, that's fine. We'll talk about that as well, of course. What do you think this changes in terms of the narrative around Nigel Farage himself?
It sticks two fingers up to the Westminster blob, the bubble, the media, the circus that runs around it. And it says to the people in the wider country that, Nigel's here to stay. He's put his faith in the people of Clacton. They'll be judge and jury, not the people in Westminster, not the politicians, not any kangaroo court, not you lot at the BBC. The people of Clacton will be the judge and jury of Nigel Farage. And it's quite evident to me, going around the constituency, knocking on hundreds of doors, driving around on the battle bus, that there's a lot of deep affection and love for Nigel Farage in this neck of the woods.
Farage wins Clacton again, but the questions won't go away. Right, settle in, because this one has everything. A by-election with more candidates than a Saturday morning car boot sale. A leader who claims police warned him off his own count. A police force that says no such thing happened. And a rival camp openly using the word sleaze. Welcome back to Britain Underneath, the channel that actually reads past the headline. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on, because this channel lives on people like you coming back week after week. Right, let's dive in. Clacton has always punched above its weight in British political theatre, and this by-election was no exception. Nigel Farage, the Reform UK leader, has once again been elected as the constituency's MP, and on paper, that's the headline. But it's everything sitting underneath that headline that makes this story worth your time. Let's start with the strangest part. On the day of the count, Farage didn't show up to the official declaration. Instead, ahead of the results being formally announced, he told supporters he'd won fairly convincingly and called it an overwhelming endorsement. Fine, confidence is nothing new for him. But the reason given for his absence is where things get murky. A Reform UK spokesperson said Essex Police had advised him not to attend because of a credible threat against him. Essex Police tell a rather different story. Their line was that they ran a proportionate and robust operation to keep everyone at the count safe, and it's understood they did not tell Farage or any other candidate to stay away. So somebody's account doesn't quite line up, and we'll let you draw your own conclusions on that one. Now, before we go further, a quick reminder. If you're the kind of person who likes getting the full picture rather than the soundbite version, that's exactly what we do here on Britain Underneath. So do stick around, and if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a very good moment. While Farage was busy declaring victory from a distance, the criticism from the other side of the aisle was already sharpening. Labour's Bridget Phillipson accused Farage of using the by-election to dodge scrutiny rather than face it head-on, framing the whole contest as an attempt to sidestep questions that were closing in on him regardless. The language coming from her camp was blunt. Talk of questionable arrangements, alleged cover-ups, undisclosed gifts, and even a link to a convicted fraudster backing his political operation. Strong stuff, and whether you think it's fair commentary or political mudslinging probably depends entirely on which rosette you're rooting for. Either way, the accusation was that voters could sense something wasn't quite right, and that perception, fair or not, tends to stick. Then there's the numbers, and honestly, this by-election deserves its own trophy cabinet for sheer chaos.
A record 34 candidates stood in Clacton, which meant the ballot paper stretched to a rather absurd 90 centimetres long. Councils had to bring in bigger tables just to fit it, and the result had to be read out on the floor of the leisure centre, because there simply wasn't a stage big enough to line up every single candidate for the cameras. Photographers were reportedly told to bring wide-angle lenses. That's not a joke, that actually happened. And the candidates themselves, well, that's where British democracy shows its true, slightly unhinged character. Farage took the seat comfortably, with over 22,000 votes. But running a rather remarkable second was Count Binface, the satirical space warlord candidate, who pulled in over 9,000 votes. 9,000 people looked at the ballot and thought, yes, this fictional intergalactic overlord represents me best. Independent candidate Amy Morris came in third, with a genuinely respectable result. And further down the list, you had everyone from the monster raving loony parties Nick the Incredible Flying Brick, to the Rejoin EU candidate, to someone running simply as Wook Trump Kazi. Only in Britain. Turnout landed at just over 44%, with 280 ballots spoiled, and the whole spectacle is estimated to have cost taxpayers somewhere in the region of £250,000. Whatever your politics, that's worth sitting with for a second. So where does that leave things? Farage returns to Parliament with his win intact and his narrative of vindication firmly in place. Labour continues to press the sleaze angle, insisting the scrutiny hasn't gone anywhere just because the count is over. And meanwhile, the British public got to enjoy the genuinely surreal spectacle of a space warlord nearly outpolling half the field. That's politics in this country right now. Serious consequences, wrapped in complete absurdity. And somehow both things are true at once. Take a breath, because that's a lot to sit with. But that's exactly why you need to stay informed, and exactly why this channel exists. If today's video gave you something worth thinking about, do the channel a favour and subscribe, because there's more of this analysis coming, and you won't want to miss what's next. Stick with Britain Underneath. We'll see you in the next one.